please do keep your cameras and microphones off if you are not on camera. We can't control who gets picked up, and we wouldn't want you to inadvertently appear on camera if that is not your intention. So that is all I want to say. So I'm going to pass it to our Board Governor, Jeff Nygaard, and former president, to introduce our speaker in the event. Over to you, Jeff.
Thank you, Conserwan. Welcome. Today's session is brought to us by one of our members, FitDAO, a consultancy that helps corporations create a culture of health and improve employee productivity and well-being. We're fortunate to have the co-founder and director of FitDAO Limited, Jonathan Godot, lead our discussion today on staying healthy in the workplace. Jonathan completed his master's degree in sports science in France and the United Kingdom. He coaches top management and CEOs, supporting the body and mind through physical training, nutrition, and psychological support. Jonathan is the initial architect of the FitDAO concept and has applied the model with successful outcomes with the Accor Group in Thailand, among other companies. Without further delay, Jonathan, the virtual floor is yours.
Jonathan, I'd like to ask you to unmute, please. I'm afraid we still can't hear you. Could you unmute?
Okay, I got it.
Great.
Perfect. Thank you very much for this presentation, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jonathan, and today we're going to talk about the concept of office syndrome. So if we got, okay, so slides are coming up. Perfect. So as I said, we're going to talk about the concept of office syndrome. I will give you a definition of it, and we will see its impact. We will talk about the solution, and finally, at the end of the presentation, I will give you a series of exercises that you will be able to do and practice on your own. Let's move forward, and let's give an overall definition of office syndrome. Office syndrome is pain or soreness caused by sitting in the same position for a long period of time. The pain also can be attributed to poor posture, and or sitting in an inappropriate position. Over time, the muscles become contracted, and the result is some tightness and some pain, especially in the neck, upper back, and shoulder. So that's the very common definition people have of the concept of office syndrome, but we're gonna dig into it, and you will see that it's something much larger than that. But before to dig into the definition, I would like to give you some stats. A study has demonstrated that 50% of office workers suffer from office syndrome. And within this 50%, 80% of them express some pain on the neck, shoulder, and back. Let's have a look at these numbers first. It's quite interesting because if you refer to the previous definition I gave you, people refer to a pain in neck, upper back, and shoulders. But if people were more educated about the concept of office syndrome, we would certainly have a much higher number than 50%, answering to the initial question. I'm going to give you other numbers. It's in Thailand this time, and a study has demonstrated that 60 to 70% of office workers suffer from office syndrome, and the big majority are people between 16 and 35 and above 55. Here again, we can explain these numbers. The young generation is much more aware about health and wellness. This is why they express it so easily. And people above 55 are mostly people in senior positions, okay, with a lot of stress, responsibilities. And also, as they're older, they are weaker, so more subject to be affected to the office syndrome. Now, you have to understand that the office syndrome will impact you at 3 different levels. You're going to have the physical impact, the psychological impact, and the biological impact. The interesting thing here is to understand that these 3 pillars, so we can call it like that, are interconnected. That means if one of these pillars is deficient, your overall health balance will be affected. So to maintain yourself healthy, you have to pay attention of these 3. and I'm going to talk about the overall physical capability. You have to understand that initially our body was designed to run, to jump, to swim, to hunt, farming, and so on. Later on, during the Industrial Revolution, we still needed to have a strong and healthy body because we were doing some tasks very demanding, like working in manufacturing. And nowadays, we sit in front of a desk, in front of a laptop. If our habits of work have changed, that doesn't mean that our body and our genetics have changed. So if we don't use our body for what it is made for, naturally, it will deteriorate. Your motricity will be less and less precise. Your muscular structure will collapse. Your skeleton and your articulation will damage. In brief, this is your entire body that will deteriorate if you don't maintain yourself active, okay? Staying still on a chair is very damaging for your body. And on top of that, working in an office is a very damaging environment because the bad ergonomic, most of the time, of your office station puts you in a very stressful biomechanical posture, and that will lead to some discomfort, pain, tightness, soreness of your muscles, not only on the neck, upper back, and shoulders, but also on your hips, on your elbows, on your wrists. It's your whole bodies are going to be affected. Also, staying still all day long will be damaging for your cardiovascular system, and that can lead to disease on the long term. Staying still in front of a screen will damage your eyes and lower your vision. Your optical nerve will be overstimulated, and that can lead to migraine, headaches, dizziness, and so on. So once again, the impact is totally global regarding the physical impact. Let's move to the psychological and biological impact. If we refer to what I've said, you have to understand that the less active you are, the less active you're gonna be and you want to be. So you will cultivate this culture of laziness. And the thing is, if you are not physically active, that will affect your mind as well. Many studies have demonstrated that people who are not healthy, physically speaking, won't be able to use their brain at its best. So actually, the office syndrome, through your body, gonna damage your mind. You also have many other side effects that are directly related to psychological and biological impact of the office syndrome. By putting you in a, I would say, non-natural environment, you will generate some tension, some discomfort. And here I'm talking about stress, anxiety, even depression. So you have to understand this principle that body and mind are interconnected. So actually your body can affect your mind, as I just explained before, but your mind can also affect your body. So it means if you are very stressed, you will generate even more tensions, especially on the neck, upper back, and shoulders, but also on your lower back. You will produce more cortisol, and this is an hormone who's responsible of stocking fat in the belly. So you can see that everything is interconnected, and you really have to be aware of these three different pillars and to maintain yourself healthy in these three different dimensions. Now we have talked about the health for an individual, and you understand that this is very important, but it's also vital for a company to maintain a healthy workforce. 70% of productivity loss is health related. What does it mean? So it means unhealthy employees are not fully productive and can't be competitive. So to have a productive and competitive workforce, a company must have strong individuals, both physically and psychologically. Stress, for example, is very important. I just talked about it before. Stress is very costly. First, a stressful person won't be healthy and won't be fully productive. 60 to 80% of workplace accidents are attributed to stress. And the the Psychological American Association estimates that 500 billion USD are siphoned every year because of stress. So stress is extremely costly, and there is an impact on your mood. If employees are in a bad mood and happy, of course, the overall atmosphere at work will be affected. So it is extremely important for a company to be aware of the health of the employees and to work on reducing the negative impact of office syndrome. Now we're going to say, okay, how to prevent office syndrome negative effects. It is not a fatality. You can work in an office and remain healthy as soon as you follow some basic rules. And of course, prevention is always better than treatment. To explain to you what to do, I would like to take an example, the preparation of an athlete, a sportsman, sportswoman. To be at his best, an athlete has to go through two types of preparation. I'm going to call it the general preparation and the specific preparation. During the general preparation, the athlete is going to focus on improving his overall skills, being faster, stronger, more stamina, better motricity, flexibility, and so on. And during the specific preparation, he will work specifically to answer the needs of his specific discipline. For example, improving the motricity and the effectiveness of one particular movement. Now, if we transfer this to office syndrome, this is exactly the same principle. You have to work on your overall health and do some specific things to limit the damage of the office syndrome. So for your overall health, what do you have to do? Pretty simple. You have to remain active. You must practice a physical activity to engage your muscular structure, your cardiovascular system, your nervous system. You have to be active. Of course, you can imagine you have to pay attention of your diet. And finally, you have to think also about your biological health by sleeping well. Now, what about the specific preparation to answer to this office syndrome problem? Well, first, you can do some specific exercises to limit the damage. We will see it right after. You can set up healthy routines to improve your psychological and biological health. Here I'm talking about meditation, breathing techniques, sleeping routines, and so on. This is what we call emotional wellness. And finally, you can set up healthy habits. For example, work as much as you can. Take every opportunity to be active. It's always funny to see that people sit in front of a desk, in front of their laptop, and then they go for a coffee break, and they go to the pantry of the office, for example, and they just sit somewhere else to have their coffee. No, instead of that, work with a colleague, stand, but remain active. Don't sit again, right? So try to sit as less as you can. And of course, you have to improve the ergonomic of your workstation if possible, to adjust the chair, to adjust the office, if it's possible, once again. And here you're going to say, yes, that's okay, in my company, we don't have this, we don't have that, blah, blah, blah. And here comes the question of responsibility and how to move forward. You have to respect these three key points: consciousness, responsibility, and playing collective. It is both the responsibility of the individual and the company to do something to limit the damage of the office syndrome. As an individual, you have to be conscious of and responsible of your state of health. Don't lie to yourself when it comes to the question of, do I have a healthy lifestyle? Now, I understand we are, the temptation is everywhere to not maintain a healthy lifestyle, and it's difficult to have discipline, a strong mindset when it's about having a healthy routine. Many people say, I've tried, it's so hard, I don't know how to do, I don't have the motivation, I don't have any support, so I give up. And here comes the responsibility of the company to help its employees to limit the damages of the office syndrome. How? By taking the lead, by doing something. You can implement what we call a corporate wellness culture. Set up a program, provide some tools, solutions, but also support and motivation for the employees. It's very demanded and it works very well. Now, let's be practical. So I will show you different exercises to do. We will focus today on the physical impact of office syndrome because, as I said at the beginning of the presentation, this is a thing people are more aware of. So we're going to jump on this. And of course, it's an appetizer of all the different things we can do. I will show you 5 different stretching exercises. After, we will jump to 5 different strengthening exercises, and we will conclude with what I call the 5 key points of sitting well. And before we jump into the exercises, I will be a bit practical so that you understand what we do. You have to understand that office syndrome generates some tensions that have to be stretched and some weaknesses that have to be strengthened. So we will focus today on the upper part of the traps. We will have to release all these tensions. We will have to work on the front part of the deltoid, the chest, and then the hips. And we will do after some exercises to strengthen the lower part of the traps, the neck flexors with the deep cervical flexors behind, and then the glutes. I will talk about the glutes after. So now I would like to come back to the camera, if it's possible, if people can see me. I guess everybody can see me now. Okay, so we're gonna start with the first exercise. First exercise, you just have to sit on a chair and we will stretch the neck. By doing that, I'm just gonna grab my head and I'm gonna try to pull my head on the side. And with my other hand, I'm gonna try to push the ground as much as I can. So go gently at the very beginning because it's extremely intense. So yeah, just pull my head on the side and push with my other arm on the ground. And I will hold this position for a couple of seconds, around 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Okay, so this is the first thing to do. Then of course, I'm gonna go on the other side, same job. I pull my head on the side and with my other hand, I'm gonna try to push the ground as much as I can to really stretch this area. I hold it for a couple of seconds and then I come back. Now I'm gonna do the same thing, but instead of going on the side, I'm gonna go at 45 degrees and do the same thing with the other hand. So I'm gonna move my head in this angle. I'm gonna try to stretch my neck as much as I can. And I hold the position for a couple of seconds. Okay, so I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. I'm gonna go at 45 degrees on the other side. And I push the ground with my other hand. I hold it for a couple of seconds. And then I relax. Finally, I join my hands, put it behind my head, and then bring my neck forward without moving the trunk. And I'm gonna close the elbow at the same time. And you're gonna feel the stretch on your neck. You hold it. Don't block the breathing when you do these stretching exercises. And then you relax. Now I will stand. I can use this as a chair to adjust my posture. I'm gonna bend forward a little bit. Okay, I maintain my back straight. I bend my knees. Then I'm gonna bring my hand to my ear and I'm gonna do an external rotation and I will look at my elbow all the way along to really stretch my chest and the front part of my delt. I hold the position for a couple of seconds and then I come back. Okay, I go for a second round. Try to go to 2 to 3 rounds when you do it on your own. Hold it for 5 to 10 seconds. and then come back. I show it on the other side. Actually, I start like that, and then I'm gonna do an external rotation, trying to look at my elbow all the way along. And I come back. Again, I open, and I come back. Do it 2 to 3 times. Now, the third exercise is we're gonna try to stretch the obliques because we have a tendency to sit like that on one side. You know, we always put the stress on one side of our body. So we have to untighten the hips. So to do so, I'm gonna raise one hand. I'm gonna try to push as high as I can with my hand. And with the same feet, I'm gonna try with my heel to push the ground as much as I can. So I push as high as I can with my hand, once again, and with my heel, I push the ground and I stretch. And I hold the position. I hold it for a couple of seconds. And then I change to the side. So I'm gonna push the ground with this leg this time. And I go as high as I can with my hand and really stretch all this area of the obliques. And then I come back. Now I'm gonna try to untighten my hips. You have to know that the hips have 3 positions. This is a neutral position, okay? This is what we're gonna call locked position, okay? Bring the hips forward. And this is like the unlocked one, when you over-arch your back. People who have an hyperlordosis, sorry, this is what they usually do. And when we sit, I go back to my chair. People sit either, most of the time, like that, or they're super straight like that, and they really arch their back, and it's quite painful on the long time. So we have to unstretch the hips. And we're gonna go for this exercise this time. You're just gonna grab your feet and try to bring your knee backward as high as you can by opening your hip as much as possible. If you keep the knee low, actually you're gonna stretch the quads. And we don't want this, we just want to open the hip. So you're gonna go as high as I can and stretch. You hold it for a couple of seconds. And then you go for the other side. Okay, you grab your feet, and then you open your hip as much as you can. You hold it once again for a couple of seconds, and then you relax. Now we're gonna go for another exercise. I'm gonna just put the camera down a little bit, okay. And then this time you're gonna put your feet like that, okay, just above your knee, and like that. And then you're gonna try to sit backward like that. And you're gonna feel the stretch on your glute, okay? You hold it for a couple of seconds. And then you go for the other side. So once again, I put my left leg in this position, and then I'm gonna sit backward to stretch the glutes and to open the hips as well. And we come back. So that was the 5 different stretching exercises that you can do. You have to know that the office syndrome is that. So here, this is how to sit properly. And most of the time, the office syndrome gonna create that. Rounded shoulders, we're gonna go forward like that. And then the head, we're gonna move like that. Okay, so as you can see, this area, the neck, gonna be very sore. So this is why we had to stretch it. The shoulders are moving forward like that. So now we have to strengthen everything by putting the shoulders back, okay, and bringing the chin locked like that. We have to go back to this position, straight. So we have to straighten first the neck flexors and the deep cervical flexors, okay, once again, to bring the head back like that. So to do that, we're gonna go against a wall. There's a wall right behind me. And I'm gonna lean against the wall. My heels are touching the wall. My glutes as well, okay? Now I'm gonna open my arms like that, and my hands are touching the wall as well. And my head as well. you're gonna see that, the small ball that you have right here behind your head, the occiput, has to be in contact with the wall. This is extremely important. And then once you have this position, what you're gonna do is you're gonna close the jaw, lock it, okay? Your teeth have to be in contact. Push up with your tongue and try to bring your chin as low as you can, like if you want to try to touch your chest with your chin, okay? So you lock the jaw, chin locked, and you try to touch the chest with your chin. And you're gonna hold the position for 30 seconds, 1 minute. And once again, the criteria is to touch the wall with your feet, glutes, back, hands, your head, and you maintain this position. And you always try to think about stretching your spinal column and reducing the space between the chin and the chest. And you're gonna see that slowly it's gonna burn on your neck flexor, on your throat. So it can be uncomfortable at the beginning, but you just have to relax and breathe slowly. And you're gonna see that these muscles here, the neck flexors and deep cervical flexors, will burn sooner or later. If you need more than 30 seconds, jump to 1 minute and hold the position. Okay, this is a very safe and effective exercise to work on the neck flexors, to come back from this to this. Okay, now to avoid to have rounded shoulders like that, we have to strengthen the middle of your back, okay, the lowest part of the traps, to open the shoulders like that. So we're gonna go back on the same position, lean against the wall. And this time, so the head has to be in contact with the wall, you close your jaw, but this time you won't focus on your chin and your chest, but you will put your arms like that and try to go up by keeping the contact with the wall, okay? And you're gonna go for a couple of reps. So you can go for 4 sets of 10 and jump slowly to 15, 20, as soon as you feel comfortable. So you really try to go as low as you can, and then you go up. And you're gonna feel slowly the tension right here in the middle of your back, because this part is very weak for most of people. So that was the second exercise. The third exercise, I'm gonna use this time either, I have a bit of material right now, a resistance band or a small towel, very easy. And I'm gonna improve the motricity of my shoulders. So I grab my resistance band like that. This is very classical. I make sure that I won't move my head, and I will open my shoulders like that and come back. Okay, you go once again for a couple of reps, 10 reps, 20 reps, up to you. And you breathe slowly, okay? Don't hold your breathing. Avoid to move your head like that when you do this movement, okay? So always keep some pressure on your chin, okay? And go for a couple of reps like that. It's very convenient to have a resistance band like that or a small towel, and you go for a couple of reps. You bring it with you at the office, or you just leave it at the office, up to you. So this is the third exercise to improve the motricity of your shoulders. I talked about the glutes before, the butt. Why is it so important? Because this is not only that we don't activate, we don't use our legs or the butt neither, we also crush it all the time by sitting all day, right? So actually, this is extremely damaging because the blood can't go properly into the butt, into the glutes. So you always have to keep a little pump to make sure you maintain the muscular system and the nervous system active on your glutes. And glutes are very important because if we summarize it like that, you have your hips this way, the spinal column is right here, and in front, what's gonna maintain everything? It's the abs and the psoas. On the side is the hips, and on the back, it's the lower back and the glutes. So your glutes have to be strong to be able to support the spinal column and to maintain everything tight. So we're gonna go for a very basic exercise. We're gonna do some air squats. Simple, you just open your feet a little bit wider than your shoulders. You always put the pressure on your heels, and you're just gonna bring your hips on the same lines on the knees by keeping your back straight, like that. I breathe in, and I come back, I breathe out. As simple as that. You see, I have some dress shoes and I can do it. If you have high heels, that can be difficult, so take it off, but you can do it even if you're dressed up in business casual. So I go down and I go up. It's day after day, time after time. And the last one, once again, very simple. You can use a chair to make sure you maintain your balance. Is just to give a little pump on the glutes. You're gonna go for some leg kick back, like that. Okay. You try to raise your hips, your legs, sorry, and you go as high as you can to squeeze the glutes and to give it a little pump, like that. And this is the last exercise. So you can actually, I advise you to set up a routine like that daily, every hours or every 2 hours. Leave your office station, maybe go to the pantry, and go for a couple of squats and a couple of leg kick back to give some pump on the glutes. Go for some stretching exercises and so on. You really have to try to set up this healthy routine if you want to limit the damage of office syndrome. And finally, we're going to conclude with the 5 key points of sitting well. So to do that, visualize it as a kind of a little checkup. You're sitting on your chair right now, and you're going to make sure that you have both of your feet flat on the ground. And you will feel that you put a little pressure on the front part of your feet. Okay? On the front part of your feet. This is the first point. The second point is you make sure you're going to maintain your hips in a neutral position. You remember right before I show you neutral position, locked, unlocked. Okay, make sure you don't over arc your back, or make sure you're not like flat on your chair. Okay, so hips have to be in the neutral position. This is the second point. The third point is you have to stretch your spinal column as much as you can. Okay, try to really stretch from the bottom to the top. Try to stretch your spinal column. The fourth point is try to relax your shoulders, because when you're going to stretch your spinal column, you may have this kind of thing like lifting your shoulders up. So make sure that you maintain your shoulders low. Okay, this is the fourth point. And the last point, extremely important, if you want to avoid to do that, having the head coming forward like that, first you have to strengthen your cervical flexors, of course, but you also have to do that. Make sure that when you sit, you maintain the jaw locked and chin locked. And I insist on this point, maintaining the jaw locked. Okay, once again, your teeth have to be in contact. Because actually, if you keep it loose like that, you will always have this tendency of coming like that. Totally relax here. Okay, and we don't want that. So by maintaining the jaw locked and the chin locked, you're going to put some constant pressure right here, and actually you will naturally hold this position. And you close your lips and you breathe through the nose. If you're not talking to someone, you have to close the lips, close the jaw, and breathe through the nose. This is a very good way to maintain a good form, a good posture. So once again, 1, the feet, 2, the hips, 3, the spinal column, 4, the shoulders, 5, the jaw and the chin. And here we go, you know how to sit well. So, of course, I'm sure that after 2, 3, 5 minutes, you will go back to a bad posture again. This is quite normal. So you have to be conscious of it, and every time, try to think it as much as you can. Oh, okay, my fault. And you go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And with time, you will see that you're gonna be used to it, and after it won't be a constraint anymore. You will even feel good when you sit properly. So that's it for me. I'm done. Thank you for your attention, and I don't know if we have some questions here.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. It's very good to know that I don't have to be all sweaty to stay fit, even with this sedentary lifestyle. So I know that in the AmCham office, we'll probably be replaying this video on a regular basis just to keep all of ourselves healthy and fit. So really, really appreciate that. I believe we have entered your website in the chat box. So if any of the participants on this call have some questions, I really encourage you to contact Jonathan directly and his partner Jerome, because I know that you have a lot of advice and help for companies who need these services. So yeah, I think I will throw it open. I know we're running a little bit over and I want to let people go, but I'd like to throw it open to any questions. If anybody has a question, please raise your hand. Okay, well, sometimes people are shy to ask in the event, but I'm sure people will contact you directly if you have questions. Thank you again from AmCham. And before I let everybody go, I would just like to let you know about some upcoming events that are coming up next week. If I could have that slide for a second. Fantastic.